Solo Leveling, Chapter 104.
Seizing Jeju Island, the leadership of Japan's Hunter Association stayed composed, seemingly having been pre-informed by their association president, but the government representatives were another story entirely.
What in the world are you talking about?
Are you proposing we go to war with the Koreans?
They've been preparing for a conflict for the past 6 decades.
Can you please say something logical?
The government officials' voices swiftly grew passionate. At this moment, the metaphorical fire from the ant monster crisis that had singed their feet was now threatening to climb to their ankles. Should they be unable to offer a viable resolution to the Prime Minister and the media, an unknown number of them present would be dismissed from their positions. This was the reason they had called the association president to this meeting, hoping for a concrete proposal. Yet what was this he was talking about now? This absurd talk about Jeju Island? How could they remain calm when the association president was spewing such utter foolishness before such an important group? Were it not for the hunters flanking association president Matsumoto Shigeo, the government representatives would have already unleashed a torrent of curses.
How did I predict this so perfectly?
Matsumoto Shigeo observed the storm of harsh rebukes directed at him and smiled to himself. Their enraged responses were exactly what he had anticipated. Matsumoto clicked his tongue mentally before finally speaking, having kept his lips sealed until this point.
Of course, I'm not proposing we start a war with the Koreans, and I'm certainly not suggesting we seize the island through force.
What did you just say?
So, what exactly are you getting at?
Could you just get to the point?
One side of Matsumoto Shigeo's mouth curved into a smirk.
We just need to have the Koreans hand over the land willingly.
The agitated atmosphere in the conference room quickly chilled due to Matsumoto Shigeo's icy demeanor. From the conviction in his tone and the way he carried himself as he spoke, it was clear to everyone that the association president was completely serious. The vice prime minister, known for his frigid composure, picked this exact moment to speak up.
Association President Matsumoto.
He was the most trusted advisor to the sitting prime minister and also acted as his representative for this event. He was here representing Japan's leader, which meant his words held the same authority as those of the prime minister himself.
What you just proposed, how do you intend to accomplish it?
Arguably, the second most influential man in the Japanese government was now expressing curiosity about Association President Matsumoto Shigeo's plan. Was it because he had finally captured someone's full attention? Matsumoto Shigeo adopted a serious expression as he continued his explanation.
At present, the Koreans do not have the capability to handle an S-rank gate. This was true 4 years ago when the ants initially emerged, and the situation remains unchanged today.
The vice prime minister gave a nod of agreement. Jeju Island is a sizable territory, making up about 2% of South Korea's entire land area. They had surrendered that much territory to the monsters and were completely powerless to reclaim it. What more needed to be said? Following the failure of the third extermination attempt, the government of Korea had informally abandoned Jeju Island. This was the unstated truth that was now widely acknowledged.
Given the present conditions, how do you think they would respond to a proposal for Japan's S-rank hunters to assist in exterminating the ants?
Information about some of the mutated ants having the ability to fly must have gotten to Korea. This meant they would also know it was just a question of when the Korean mainland would face an assault. Provided the Korean government's leaders were not insane, they would never turn down an offer of outside assistance. However,
But even if we offer our assistance, do you really think the Koreans would just hand Jeju Island over? Like you said, Mr. Association President, helping the Koreans might solve the ant problem. Still, even if that were to happen, what would we get out of it?
although Japan's people had been affected to a degree, the ants on Jeju Island were fundamentally an issue for Korea to handle.
What a ridiculous idea.
The vice prime minister, always astute about potential gains, scoffed internally. If you give something away, you have to get something back. That was a fundamental principle of politics. If they were to send their hunters, they would need to receive something appropriate as payment.
Getting Jeju Island would only be an acceptable form of compensation.
The vice prime minister had expressed some curiosity because his line of thinking matched the association president's. Yet, the answer he received seemed as substantial as trying to grasp at clouds. Unsurprisingly, the vice prime minister's curiosity evaporated more quickly than anyone else's. At that moment, the association president gave a cryptic smile.
Whoever said we would actually help the Koreans?
The Vice Prime Minister's brow furrowed.
Is he trying to play word games with me?
He was on the verge of sternly admonishing the association president, saying something like, "Don't waste our time."
Hold on.
The Vice Prime Minister's eyes grew wide. The association president had mentioned proposing help, but not actually providing it.
Are you possibly?
It is precisely as you are thinking.
The moment he saw the look of pure shock on the Vice Prime Minister's face, the association president was certain the man had reached the same realization.
You intend to send Korea's hunters into that ant nest, don't you?
Just what you'd expect from an experienced politician. So the rumors about him being a sharp man were not without reason.
The association president offered the Vice Prime Minister a pleased smile, impressed by his sharp intellect.
Once Korea's elite hunters go into the ant tunnel to eliminate the Queen, trusting in our promised support, we will just pull our own hunters out.
The Koreans had already failed 3 times. If this became their 4th consecutive loss, who would ever think to blame a betrayal by Japan's hunters? And even if they did, it would be irrelevant. By that point, it would all be finished. The Vice Prime Minister's voice trembled visibly.
Are you intending to wipe out South Korea's best hunters?
The second a gate they were incapable of managing appeared on Jeju Island. Their destiny was set in stone.
The association president again expressed his deterministic perspective.
No, they've simply been clinging to their miserable existence by some means up to this point.
But that's...
After their elite hunters are gone like that, the Koreans will certainly lose any sense of safety.
What would occur when flying, mutated ants start showing up across South Korea, one after another, after all their S-rank hunters have been killed? Would the Koreans just ignore the situation as it unfolds? Yet, as indicated by the data, the population of mutated ants would grow at an exponential rate, and in time, all of South Korea would descend into turmoil.
At that point, they will surely ask for help from other nations, hunters.
But who would be prepared to assist the Koreans by then? China or Russia, countries with many hunters, but also vast territories of their own to protect? Or America, the nation that denied them assistance when the S-rank gate first appeared? Or perhaps North Korea, which might instead use the opportunity to attack Seoul with its own S-rank hunters?
No, the only ones left would be us, Japan.
Since Japan would also be threatened as the mutated ant population grew, the Koreans would be forced to depend on Japan. And at that point, Japan could ask for whatever it wanted from them.
The Koreans might genuinely be prepared to see Jeju Island at that point.
It would unfold just as the association president had described. It was chilling to imagine that this man was ready to lead another nation's best hunters to their doom, just to fulfill his own aspirations. A country could be brought to its knees by this man if one was not vigilant.
This association president, Matsumoto Shigeo, is a genuinely frightening person.
The Vice Prime Minister trembled at the sheer horror of the association president's plan. But it didn't stop there. The association president continued.
And Jeju Island is only the start.
Piece by piece, each time the Koreans required the strength of S-rank hunters, they would be compelled to gradually fall under Japan's sway.
And that is my proposal.
It was only when the association president concluded his detailed explanation that the cabinet members released the breaths they were holding. The association president softly asked,
What will you decide, Mr. Vice Prime Minister?
The attention of everyone in the room turned to the Vice Prime Minister. The Vice Prime Minister gulped. He was representing the Prime Minister in this matter. As long as that confidence was maintained, his choice would be the final one. Therefore, with great care and with more deliberation than ever, after a long period of thought, the Vice Prime Minister looked up.
How can the government assist you in this endeavor?
A demon knight has been killed. A demon knight has been killed. A demon aristocrat has been killed.
Every time his shadow soldiers dispatched a demon within the castle walls, Jin Wu was flooded with a constant flow of messages about his experience gains. Getting ready for the ultimate confrontation on the highest floor, Jin Wu kept working hard to increase his level. When excellent rewards were available, the risk associated with them would be equally great.
The divine water of life, extra stat points, high-level rune stones, and more.
As he considered the prizes he would earn from vanquishing the Demon King, he knew he couldn't afford to be lazy about leveling.
Level up.
With nearly every demon in the area now eliminated, Jin Wu called up his status window to check on his new level.
Level 87.
His level had been 80 prior to his second entry into the demon's castle, but now it was at 87. A smile naturally appeared on his face as he observed his augmented stats.
Great.
Jinwoo balled his hand into a tight fist.
A demon aristocrat has been killed. A demon aristocrat has been killed.
During this time, his shadow soldiers dispatched the last of the demons, ensuring a total victory. With the fight concluded, the soldiers assembled in front of Jinwoo as they always did. Of them all, Iron was the quickest to reach him. As though anticipating praise, Iron swelled his chest and stood rigidly. Jinwoo let out a small laugh as he gazed at the colossal figure obstructing his sight.
Is everything taken care of?
Iron bobbed his head.
You're certain?
Iron nodded with even more vigor this time. Jinwoo grinned and expanded his senses.
Dagger throw.
In an instant, his dagger shot toward what looked like a bare section of wall. However, the blade missed the wall, plunging instead deep into the torso of a demon that was concealed there by invisibility. It had been silently biding its time, waiting for Jinwoo to be isolated from his soldiers before launching a surprise assault. The demon could only panic internally, seeing the dagger lodged in its left pectoral.
How did he know?
For a human, that spot would have been where the heart was located. This implied the human male had perfectly perceived the invisibility spell of a high-class demon aristocrat.
How could a mere human?
As the demon lifted its stunned eyes from its injury, they trembled uncontrollably to find Jinwoo was already next to it.
But how is this?
Jinwoo withdrew Baruka's dagger and employed his soul melee combatability.
Vital point targeting.
The demon, having narrowly withstood the injury from dagger throw, was killed instantly by a single strike from the fully leveled vital point targeting skill.
A demon aristocrat has been killed.
Jinwoo put Baruka's dagger back into his inventory and positioned himself in front of Iron once more.
Now, what do you have to say for yourself?
Looking abashed, Iron cast his eyes downward and rubbed the back of his head, or, more accurately, the back of his helm. Before long, Igrit came back as well, having cleared the demons from the most remote parts of the castle. Yet Jinwoo perceived a change in Igrit.
What is this?
Jinwoo watched Igrit draw near and cocked his head in thought. Igrit swiftly came forward and got down on one knee before Jinwoo, bowing his head. The movement was one he recognized, but what came next was not. A synthetic ring sound abruptly echoed in Jinwoo's mind.
Is that a system message?
Jinwoo gulped. And now, a special transmission from the Hunters Association, a recognition of the elite hunters who make these reports possible.
The Hunters Association has identified a critical objective for this week. We have assembled a special task force comprised of some of our most dedicated hunters to lead the charge. Let's recognize this week's elite squad.
Reporting for duty and leading this mission are Jared Bressler, Havocs, Speed Saber, Curtis Lobbin, Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Misael D.W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rawson, Jerry Sladek, Ray Perez, Kaushal Patel, Donald Williams.
But this squad doesn't fight alone. They are backed by the full might of our entire guild. To every hunter who stands with us, arise.